Heavens, break. Whew. Pull my devil trigger. Welcome everybody. Hiding in the shadows anymore. That was here, wasn't I? Oh, camera's going haywire. Nice. Hi, everybody. Welcome in, Jax. Good to see you. How we all doing? Oh, hope everyone had a good rest of their weekend. And we're back to it. Monday, God of War Fun Day. Oh, okay, that makes sense now. Yeah, we're back right where we were. I did have to, like, when I loaded save, I had to run a little bit, but we didn't miss too much. Literally, like, a couple minutes worth. Yeah, we are currently out to go and rescue Freyr, which is Freyr's brother, so that we can get some sort of resistance group going. And yeah, so I think we're doing the distracting, and Atreus is doing the rescuing, so to speak. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good weekend. I hope whatever you did was good, and start of a new week, week, a work week, whatever. It's the start of a new week, and hopefully good things come. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well, and we're back to it. So here we go, I guess.
We're coming for you, Ingvi.
Light the beacons! Oh shit. Oh, it's Heimdall.
What idiots! Oh, if it isn't Queen Mistletoe herself. Hilarious, by the way. Been a while.
Heimdall.
And you must be the little half-breed's father. Lucky day! You have a lot to answer for, Sunshine. You too, traitor.
Better a traitor than Odin's lapdog.
The burden is mine.
I can help.
I know. But you are needed elsewhere.
He's right, you know. Sizzles wasn't looking so hot last I saw.
I know you didn't want this, but we know how this ends. See you soon.
Well, we both know that's not true. But don't worry, Frigg. I'll be coming for you and your brother as soon as I am finished here.
I wonder if we kill him now.
Now, what you got? Whoa! What did Gulto forever do to you? Really? You are the one who killed Baldur?
Yep, that's true, buddy.
Have some Bifrost on me! So aggressive. So angry.
Maybe we're only fighting his little animal thing.
No reputation. I thought I would at least break a sweat.
Oh, I think he's breaking a sweat. He just doesn't realize it.
Tie him down, fool Cooper. Not going to lie. I'm disappointed.
Of course you are, buddy.
Having fun yet?
How you doing, Jax? Okay, well.
Oh well, you Join me then. Huh. Nice stick.
Ah.
I can feel your frustration. It is immensely satisfying.
What now, brother?
The spear remains our best chance.
Well, I'm waiting. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I was not satisfied either. Hey, careful! These are new bracelets.
If you throw. Oh, come on!
I can see why the half-breed is such a pushover.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Oh, he is mad now, isn't he? Oh, wait. You expected the stick to give you an advantage? Hilarious! The scion of the Aesir brought down by an old geezer's cane. Ha!
Yeah, I don't have to. I don't throw it at him. I throw it in front of him. Then.
No!
Oh.
You actually hit me.
He did. Block or dodge attacks when slime starts to create an opening to strike.
I don't remember the last time anyone hit me. Slow down.
Come on, brother. You hit him once. Just gotta find the right opening.
Okay, now we've pissed him off basically. That's fine. We got it now.
Slow it down.
Bonk 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 bonk.
You strike like a sloppy cow.
Yeah, well, your health is pretty bad. I mean, I've hit you twice. Oh, so I don't even have to slow down time now. Oh, well, that's nice.
Ha! There we are. Armor fit for a gun.
Oh. Brother! Mimi is like fucking going crazy.
You know, pain is not as bad as I remember.
Donk, 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 donk.
Slow down.
Oh. Get fucked, bitch.
You think you can bring down Asgard? Hurry.
Get that kill.
Slow it down.
Oh, come on. I dodged that. Alright. Shit face, come on.
Strike, brother.
Fuck! That's all this is! Wait. What is going on in that empty little head? Oh, no, 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 no. You are going to spare me out of pity!
Let it go, you may live.
Is this about the little runt? Oh, now I am definitely going to gut him.
Oh, there goes his arm. Holy fuck.
This is your final warning.
I don't think a warning's going to cut it.
You think you get to just walk away? No. That is not how this works.
Oh, he's recovered his arm. I mean, he's an Aesir. It probably makes sense.
Do not get to decide my fate! You are dead, sunshine.
And now he's really pissed.
You are in way over your head! Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, I do actually.
Watchman of the Aesir, the herald of Ragnarok.
You are. Okay, that's on me.
I am going to find that little mongrel of yours and beat his face into a pulp. Enough. Only one of us is walking away from this.
All right. Well, if you're gonna die, if you want
Sure as shit will not be you.
to die, buddy, that's your fucking funeral. I know Kratos is trying to stop it because that's what prophecy.
Cry and spare me.
That's what prophecy told him. You know, he has to like basically he kills Heimdall, and
I am growing very sick of it.
I'm growing very sick of you, to be honest. I'm being honest. Dude, you're almost dead. Bonk. Bum 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 bum. He's just gonna punch the living shit.
This isn't who you want to be!
Well, we've killed him. Oh no. Oh, well, we'll just take the horn real quick. Oh, no, Mimir's just looking at his dead face.
Kratos, that was just... I don't know if we are breaking fate, or fate's breaking us.
Holy shit, that's a big thing to start with, isn't it? Huh. Jesus. Hilt of Hofud. The sword of once wielded of by the watchdog of the Aesir Heimdall. It has separated many heads from their bodies. Oh, it's a relic. It stored space and time by creating a realm shift. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Okay. That could... What happened? I basically murdered Heimdall. And in the whole thing of the fates that the giants foretold was that Kratos kills Heimdall, and he has the horn that signals Ragnarok. We now have the horn. We now have Gjallarhorn, whatever it is. So yeah, even though Kratos is trying his best not to go down the path of what the giants have foretold, it's happening anyway. No. Obviously he tried to let, like, you know, he punctured his arm, like, to say, look, don't.
Hey, a little help?
At least the rescue's going well.
Kratos is getting angry. Getting very, very angry. Unless Heimdall is not dead. But then all, like, I feel like that signified that he died, because the light, you know, the purple just Aesir magic of him just gone. Oh, I would say he's dead, but I'm holding my reservations.
Yeah, so guess what? We got hit by another ambush.
We need to get him out of here.
I'll cover him, but we can't get through the door. We're trapped.
Ow. The walls. Go. I didn't realize how flashy that was. Sheesh. Yeah, so Heimdall ambushed. Heimdall's what do they call them? What they got? The Einherjar. Ambushed. I'm guessing ambushed Atreus and, you know, Freya, and then Heimdall decided just to go for good old Kratos himself. Yeah, as one does. Oh Jesus! Yeah, let me just rip your head off by fucking burning the chains on my sword and just on my daggers, on my blades of chaos, and just fuck you over. Nice. Level 4 is fine, probably. Oh, okay. Come on. Punch! Oh, punch him right in the stomach. Fuck me. Need to dodge to the side. Ow. Now you're gonna die. Oh! Oh, yep. He's dead. He's very much dead. He is very much dead. No, damn it, Kratos. Just have the health. Thank you.
I will carry you.
Move. You what? No, I can make it.
You cannot.
Ow. Easy.
Ow, easy. He's deed.
Follow! We, got company back here.
Oh, no. Okay. We're almost there, right? Seriously?
Kratos is like, fuck you.
Nice job, by the way. Hey, I'm a Trey. You okay? Hi.
No! Hi, no!
We gotta be close. close, right? On your right!
Keep going. We're almost at the river.
I'm about to hurl.
I'm about to hurl. Where's that? You're not the smoothest of rides, is it?
Where's the boat?
Let's throw it in the river.
Hurry now. That won't hold them for long.
Whoa. Of course.
Steve was here. Freya's boat.
They will regroup. We should go.
Ooh. You're just like, you okay? Cool. Well, we got out of there at least.
Okay. This is bad.
Hang on.
Wee. They're like, oh,
Should have seen your faces.
you can fly, of course.
Relax.
You can fly. The magic Viking Nordic boat.
We're
Yeah.
fine.
Just like,
I knew we would do that.
I shut up. I knew that. If this was a JRPG, these would be the party members. Oh, for sure, for sure. It would be Atreus, Kratos, Freya, Freyr, Angerboda, Mimir.
We have guests.
Oh shit. Is that a wyvern?
I knew this was going too smoothly.
Little help?
They're too fast. Look out!
Oh no, he's gonna sacrifice himself, isn't he? He's gonna do something, isn't he? He's big is gonna do something. What are you doing? What are you doing? What's he doing?
No! For Vanaheim!
Oh fuck yeah, he got it. Oh shit. Well, we're gonna think that we're gonna assume he's dead, but I don't think he's dead. But he took one for the team big time. Holy shit, that was badass. You've been playing through you've been playing through 7 Remake? Ooh, nice, nice. Anything in particular you've been doing, or just a replay?
Damn it, Pierre.
Ah, come on. You really think that's the end of Birger?
You think he survived that?
He's down there picking the dirt out of his nails with the beast's feathers. You'll see. He has to be.
We're almost there, Ingvi. Just hold on a bit longer.
I don't suppose I have much of a choice at the moment.
It's a no magic run I intend to finish. Oh, right. I think I remember you mentioned before that you started doing a no magic run. That's cool. So just like just all abilities and just physical attacks.
Lunda! Lunda, we need cloth and boiling water. Red root and
Lamb's cress, I know. You think I never
know.
staunched a bleeder before? Oh, now don't you go worrying, boss. I didn't go through any of your stuff while you was off being tortured.
Damn it, Lunda. Easy.
Heck you sassing me for? I ain't the one who stuck you like a damn pig. No offense.
Freya, mind giving her a hand? We're just taking over entirely?
Hold still. She'll just get you stable so I can take you to Sindri's house. The rest of my herbs are there.
We'll protect the realm in your absence. The four of us.
Vanaheim's in good hands.
Party at Sindri's house, huh? Whoever that is.
Your boat.
Nope. Your boat. Come on, take it. Sail the skies. Sun yourself on its bow. You look like you could use it. Make a Vanir god proud.
I think he's drunk now. Oh, that's cool. So we got a boat that we can.
Boat? Nice.
He left me no choice.
It was necessary, not because it was written.
Is the prophecy completed? Okay.
Prophecy holds Galahad as the herald of Ragnarok. Whatever it does.
I read about it in Odin's library. Supposedly it...
Hold it, Atreus. We will discuss in private.
Yeah. I stopped after meeting like the 5 slums. Oh, that's the church, isn't it? That would be Aerith. When practicing the run, now I'm going to go through the entire game. So if I do get to I do get to a moment where I have to load the difficulty, I will. Yeah, that's fair. That's good. You know, you don't want to push yourself too much. Ooh, Mighty Olymp. No, what was the one? So we got Hind of the Four Winds, which was buyback. So craftable, Hind of Weightless Recovery. It would upgrade this. Or now then, that's level 6. That's level 7. Would upgrade the. I think I'll upgrade the blades.
Let's make something then.
Yours. Oh, Mani's craftable. Level 7. Check the. Yeah, the chest armor I haven't been able to level up yet. Hopefully I can do that soon.
Need something special?
Level 7. 6, yes. I'm not expecting that will happen until the last section of the game, basically after the plate falls. Ah, right, yeah. So when you make your way towards Shinra building. That's fair.
Now, what else was there?
Okay, so we now have a boat. Oh, does that mean now we can... Oh, this could mean we can do the... Shit. We can go over here now, right? they were talking.
What does that mean? Helka smells something. Could be important. Maybe we should follow her.
Scent of survival started. Water favor. Yeah.
Tracks.
Helka's.
Where are you leading us, girl?
Are we just like spawned? Okay, we gotta use the normal boat. Okay, fine. Whatever.
So, what do you want to do now? We don't have to go straight home, do we?
Look! Tracks from the olfactorily gifted hound. Seems we're on the right path.
Hey, girl, we're here. Guess we should follow her.
I'm hoping I can get more chakra materia and maybe faith materia if more of those exist. Oh yeah, because they're classed as
More paw prints.
they're not classed as magic because they. Yeah, they'll come in handy, especially chakra if it's to cure poison and whatnot.
More of Helka's tracks. I dare say she's got as skilled a nose for hunting as you, brother.
Hers is superior. The eyes can lie. The nose cannot.
Does that make you wish you could turn into an animal every once in a while?
No.
No.
And there she goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping I can get the. I think it's the we've done the tears, hell tears. So it's I think it's Droga holes and. Is it the one the Droga holes and the. I forget what the what the third one was. Touch. I can't cast magic, but I can still link fire, ice, lightning, and wind materials to elemental material to do elemental damage for regular attacks. Oh, that is true. Yeah, elemental material will be.
Ah, she went over that ridge. But we can't follow her at this time of night.
That will be clutch. So we got to change it to daytime. Let's change it to daytime. In the daytime. In the daytime.
We're coming, Helga. Can't be far now.
Oh.
Claire, that's gotta be Birger. She wants us to rescue him. We can head back now, Helga. We'll take it from here.
Oh, that's sick, actually. Scent of survival completed. Oh, doesn't this take you to the crater? Because if this does, that's good, because we can go. This is where the. I think this is where the other 2 or 3 stuff.
Magic, perhaps.
Let's make sure to ask once we've extricated him from this situation.
Very true, Mimir. Very true. Not four. Oh, lindworms. That's it. So
Should
you
be
got.
easy to find Birger from up here.
Why'd everyone sound so scared at this place?
On that note,
Oh, there we go. Whee!
Atreus!
I'm fine. You?
well, he seemed angry. What do you suppose that means?
We are going the right way.
Where are we anyway?
Looks to be the ruins of a once thriving Vanir settlement.
What happened?
Don't rightly know.
More reason to find a way out.
Yeah, even more reason. You can also use summons. Carbuncle can be very useful since it can cast Protect, Shield, Haste, and Carbuncle's limit is a full party heal. That is true. Yes. Yeah, I think Carbuncles is almost a must. I think it's just the same with Chocobo Moogle? Was it? No.
Guess what? While Odin was giving me a tour, his ravens took us to Svartalfheim, and I saw Derlin again. He was actually trying to do his job. We pretended not to recognize each other. At least I think he was pretending. The point is,
Whoa. Oh, look.
signal. Birger's alive.
Not for long if that dragon has its way.
It will not.
Do you see
Oh,
what?
Vanaheim.
A lightning bolt. Except it's frozen.
Like the one made in my fight with Thor.
But why would there be one just like it here in Vanaheim?
That is a very good question. Maybe it can be conjured from other. Oh, 6 Asgardian ingots. That is wonderful. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so the Droga hole, there's a Droga hole on the plane in this area, I think. In the crater. Area-ish. I think there's... Yeah, so there's...
A little while ago, you mentioned Odin's raven. What's to stop him from using them to pop into existence and kidnap anybody he wants?
Consent. The only way to travel by Odin's ravens is by your own choice.
Oh, it's not so bad then.
That's fine. Thank you. Oh shit. What are these guys? Can you stop fucking windmilling, please? Oh, fuck off. Your sword can't be that big, mate. Whoa! I need to break his shield. Say God help me. Oh, you motherfucker. I tried. Normally I'm pretty good at quick at getting that. Oh, bro. Out of here, bitch. Get your sword. Slice. Thank you very much.
What's that about? Maybe that journal he dropped could tell us more.
Lies.
Written by Mirka. Perhaps that's who this fella has it out for.
I hope fucking whatever. Aerith's second limit pass protections will pretty much be a requirement. Yeah, that and healing wind is going to be very handy. Sure.
Oh, feel that? Where's it coming from?
Down there.
Ooh, 4,000 hack silver. Let's go.
I don't understand. Vanya used to live here? It's just a crater.
It wasn't a crater when they lived here, lad. Something happened to it.
What? Like an explosion? It'd have to be huge.
Oh, is that Brock?
This place has looked better. Ready when you are.
Ooh, dragon scaled breastplate. Ooh, oh, holy shit! Look at that. That's good. Yeah, damn. Marnie's. Oh, I can upgrade the. Okay. Dragon scaled braces. Shield damage increases all shield damage, and successful blocks or parries now deal shield damage to nearby enemies. Do I want? I can just upgrade the ones I have, and I the soul ones. Yeah, it's level 5, so.
You won't get so much as a paper cut in that.
I'm level 6 now. Nice. Back in a bit. We need to take a shower. No worries, no worries. Have a good shower. Dragon scaled girdle. I mean, it's good, but it's not. It's strength and defense, which is kind of what you want, but. Well, I can upgrade these. I can upgrade the waist armor and the.
Damn! Am I good or what?
Oh shit! Look how much hack silver I need. Fuck.
You
God.
make up your mind.
Damn, son.
Wait, feels like there was something else.
Heimdall is dead.
Good.
Is it?
Look, I don't know from fate, but I know Heimdall was a prize-winning taint stain with the capital stamp. If he was gonna hurt your boy, it's a good thing he ain't around no more.
The Norns didn't quite see it that way.
The opinion of them 3 shut-in spinsters ain't worth a goat fart in a hurricane. what you did. No need to fret about it.
Missed a gateway right next to her. Oh. Oh, yep. I might just take a death, just for the sake of taking a death. I wasn't meant to do that. Oh, okay, there's something. Oh, right. No. Keep him over here because otherwise. Healed.
What were those say they're doing here?
Some Vanir turned to dark magic to defend themselves from Aesir. There were consequences.
Looks it. At least we got a Mystic Gateway now. There's a Berserker gravestone there. Oh, it's actually telling me where the rifts are. That's interesting. There's a chest thing nearby. This should be a lindworm, yep. Sit down, shut up. I think there's one more now.
Got it.
I'm back. Don't mind me. I know you don't want me around.
I did not say that.
You don't need to. The boss sends me out the most often, and I know why. I'm unbearable. That's why you hate me.
You are not my enemy. You are irrelevant. A stranger.
So, you don't despise me?
I do not feel one way or the other.
That's honestly kind of a relief. I mean, yeah, you're a stranger to me too. Well, why should I care what you think?
Now you understand.
Fantastic, Master Kratos. I'm glad to know we do not care about each other. Get set.
I don't know if that was necessarily the best lesson, but what do I know?
What do you know, Mimir? Yush. Okay, so there's a rift over here. I'm assuming it says hi.
Not a bit odd.
Hey, dragon.
What do about them?
Oh no. Maybe if we came back at night, they'll change somehow. The dragon's back, and it's angry.
Oh, how flattering.
Yeah, how flattering. Whoa, okay. Yep, it's pissed. Pretty pissed. Can you stop? I just want to go to the... Oh, let me guess. I can only go there at night.
Flying away.
Strike and retreat tactics. Smart.
Doesn't like invading.
Oh, okay. Got a mastery. Let's add a mod to it. Stun. Element. Stun.
Territory.
Needed that. I really needed that.
No doubt about it. Just like the frozen lightning bolt in Midgard.
Yet I have never been here. Curious.
Okay, so the only way you can get to it is... Oh no, hang on. Can I get over? Oh, it's over there. Hang on.
I see an altar up there. If we can reach it.
Something is wrong with this kill. Dragons do not leave marks like these.
We've seen those marks before in the Valendar mines. Remember? Must be a soul eater around here. I can hear the animals. They're afraid.
Aye. Let's keep a lookout for other kills. Soul eaters hide in plain sight.
Find more evidence of soul eater activity. Yeah, I think we've got to come back here at night. Slightly annoying. Yeah, because you got to go around.
Dwarves can do that thing Brock and Sindri do, right? Where they just walk between realms and turn up somewhere else.
Indeed, that's a rare skill. I gather one carefully cultivated by some secretive dwarven guild or other. Probably for the best. Them alone doing it. Never mind that. Time to fight.
It's time to fight. Oh, do you fucking mind? Hey! Fucking shit. I thought. Oh, wait. I was saying, we didn't kill it. Why is it giving... Oh, is it because it's because it's out of the combat zone. There we go.
Huh. That thingy looks weird.
Another one of those mysterious crystals.
Ooh, mysterious. What?
Another kill.
It's a sign we're on the right trail.
We're getting close. I remember last time it looked just like a pile of rocks at first.
Slay the Soul Eater.
Hey, Mimir, do you ever notice Thor talk to his hammer?
Oh, still doing that, is he?
Yeah. Is he, like, charming the steel or casting a spell or something?
No, just a weird bloke.
No, he's just really, really weird. Love him, it's just like, nah, he's just a really weird dude. He's just a weird god, you know? One of those weird god things he does.
Another.
Her flesh. It's close. If one rock moves, I'll be ready.
You hear it.
Ah, typically those weak spots come in threes. Maybe there's another somewhere around here.
But we gotta go in nighttime. Fucking damn it. Yeah. Oh, there's a celestial altar here. Hang on. That's actually really good. But we found another one. Oh, calm down. Oh, hi. Ow. Ow. Brilliant. Just smash your neck in real quick. Don't mind me. Can't go through that door. How do I get to that celestial altar then? There's got to be a way to get up there. Right?
Father, what was Spartan training like?
Ants. Apologies.
Unforgivable.
Right, let's see. We're kind of just running around a minute, so I'm not too worried. Oh, fuck. We'll just hang fire a second. Drink my tea as well. Whoa. Oh, it's not even that portal anyway. That portal must be like a boss fight. So it's like the northernmost point. Ah, okay, I need to wait for it. Okay. Right. Oopie doopie doopie doo. Just wait another minute or so and then we'll be back. Actually, how are we doing for main? For Vanaheim. Comeuppance. Battle Heimdall. See, it doesn't say. It says Battle Heimdall, but it doesn't say Kill Heimdall. That's sus. That's very sus game. It's very sus. Very sus indeed. 10 seconds or so, and then it should be good. Alrighty. Welcome back from the ads, everybody.
Father,
Should be
we build
good
a
together.
life together.
Good together, good to go.
Why?
We hunt, we train. Those are the only two things you do to distract yourself.
They are not distractions.
Oh, of course not.
I just thought it'd be nice to learn some music. You could teach me, and... No. It's stupid. Never mind.
I gotta find the... Hold on. Oh, I'm guessing the... Yeah, the main one is behind there. Shit. Hey, Lycan. How you doing? Good to see you. Pardon me. What did the beaver say to the tree? It's been nice knowing you. Ooh. Did you hear about the runner who was criticized? He just took it in his stride. He sure did.
Ah, another crystal. Best hold on to it until we can figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a use for it somehow. I didn't like him. Hope you're well. Good to see ya. Oh. Fuck, there's more of these fuckers? Ow. What's that? Oh, yeah. Bonk.
You there? Howard?
Oh, hello. You. Speak.
The day this valley was destroyed, my spirit, it was torn, split into.
Oh, I saw a spark like that where I felt that big fucker.
It lies out there with my remains. Perhaps if the scroll was whole again, it would uncloud my mind. I could find peace.
What do you want, Spirit?
The scroll. There was.
Hey, Giva, I can hope you had a good weekend and whatnot.
And Thor, I must remember. The message must be delivered. It was important. My commander is waiting on my word.
He's been waiting a while then.
Tell us, what is the last thing you remember?
I was seeing red. With anger. At the Aesir. And there were these red trees. Please, help me regain my memory. Then I can tell you what I know of that day.
I'm getting so many side quests now.
This spectre may be able to tell us what happened in this valley, brother.
If the Leviathan froze that lightning, do you think Mother was, you know, here?
It means nothing. We do not know that Faye was here.
True, but that frozen bolt tells an unfinished story. If we want to know what really happened here, we need to know what that spirit remembers.
Hmm.
Then we go.
Then we go indeed.
Message. Have you found it?
I haven't even left the fucking room, love. Calm down. Please. I'm trying my best. Bloody hell. I go around the corner and come back after like 2 seconds. She's like, have you got it yet? Have ya? Oh. Oh, I need to go there anyway. Ah, okay.
Great. Now we can move the sun and moon.
You sure? Okay. Oh. I don't like the look of going... Wait, how do I get down there? Wait, how... Oh. Oh, you gotta go around... Oh. Oh. Like that. Okay. Oh, okay. This is like the shortcut. Heck. I hope you're well, though, Lycan. Very good weekend, and I'm guessing you're working now, is it? Looking in for work and whatnot. Alright, so we can go through here now.
I think I need new socks.
What has happened?
They're wet.
They will dry.
You know,
Right.
Then why did you ask?
I'm really not sure.
They will dry.
Yeah,
Well.
sure they will.
Oh, I see the half the scroll, right?
Returned your scroll, Spirit.
That was quick.
And I am whole again. Now I can deliver my message.
Your commander is long dead.
Of course. Odin sent Thor to take control of the valley. But I suppose it's too late now.
Don't worry. We're handling the Aesir.
Now, tell us what you know of that day.
I remember walking into a meat hall, and Thor was there.
Do you know why he was there?
There were whispers he was looking for a Vanir military outpost. I didn't want any trouble, so I got out quick. That's the last I saw of him. But maybe there are others who saw more.
Oh, let me guess. There's more scrolls we gotta
I wonder
find.
if Thor was meeting someone at the meat hall.
Oh, you think Thor was meeting Mom there?
Faye never drank.
He never drank with me. Stunning Fang. Hitting stunned enemies unleashes shockwaves. Has a chance to grant a stack of increasing strength and stun damage. Ooh, that sounds really fucking nice. Nice. So this runic arrow from full quiver. Many text no.
With me, and she would not have with him.
Sometimes we never really know the ones we love, brother.
Heavy runic attack. Honor the fallen. Oh, it's a Drapnir spear attack. Oh, okay. Initiate a powerful wind gust to stagger enemies while leaping. Oh, that's actually that's fucking sick. You know what? We'll take that. Yeah, it's like, see, armor-wise, I think we're fine. It's just, at this point, it's weapons. But, like, hopefully, now we can get another... Well, we can get the blades to level 6 and the Drapnir spear to level 6 once we do the Droga holes and the... This is the way I went in here. Oh.
Father, I wanted to ask you something about your blades. The ones from your homeland.
Good at nighttime.
Why don't you just throw them away? I see the way you look at them sometimes. Like you're... I don't know. Like you hate them.
Even hateful things have their uses. Besides, I tried. They came back.
It's like a bad habit, huh?
This place has looked better.
It's another mystery crystal.
Oh, I can upgrade the armor now, can't I?
Time I had something to do.
Yeah.
A good fit.
Oh, I can upgrade the... Oh, okay. I can upgrade... Oh, yeah. My armor's level 8. Let's fucking go.
That'll keep your bits in all the right places.
Yeah, so the Dragon Scale breastplate is good for strength and defense, 100%, but I lose 60 vitality, which is a lot of health. I lose a lot of health.
Hitting the road or chewing the fat?
Oh yeah, we got a load of XP, haven't we? Oh god, I got loads of XP. Holy shit. Frost Awaken 4. Oh wait, Blazer Kiss, I only need one more level up. Oh, sick. Oh, it's the Drapnir Sphere that has level 7. Okay, that's fair. And then, so Atreus is done. In terms of skills. I want to Rampage of the Furies. See, does the most damage, see? Holding R1 extends the barrage, which increases damage and burn stats within every hit. Try to. God, look at that. Ooh. Max out damage and frost with that one. Okay, we'll do that, because I like that one. The light runic attack, I think we'll upgrade that too. Cyclone of Chaos is actually quite nice, because he just spins it. Then get that full damage bar up. Okay. Into nighttime. Time to chase the sun or the moon or whatever. I don't know. Ooh. Right. And it's nighttime. Ooh. New enemies. Lots of new enemies. Huh. Okay. I see that. I sense the dragon is here.
Dragon incoming!
Oh, fucking Jesus. He's an angry motherfucker. He's an angry mother. Oh, yeah, nice. Punch. 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 Wipe. Kill. Booyaka.
Stay alert.
Aye, some rocks are not like the other.
It's a soul leader. Ba-dum bum ba-dum bum bum. Oh, I didn't shit. Punch. Ah, ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, you little bastard. Now you fucking had it. Punch. Rip that out. Good night.
It is over.
Maybe now life in this valley can flourish again.
I'm sure Anvari would be happy we build another one at least.
And Vari, the dwarf who put his soul into a ring.
That's right.
Oh, is armament. Very high luck chance to grant a health boost on any successful runic attack kill.
He created the Soul Eaters. Whatever happened to the annoying bugger anyway?
I lent him to Sindri and he said he lost him.
Uh-huh. Lost it.
Lost. Let's go this way first.
What a shame. A river once ran through here, bringing life to all manner of flora and fauna.
I just want to see what that fight is.
The river.
Odin had something to do with it, didn't he?
Aye. Dammed it up. Why bother fighting the enemy if you can just get rid of their water source?
A drought. Now dragons. This place has really seen better days.
Oh, let's go. Attaboy. Attaboy, Kratos. Right, you're immune to ice. That's fine. Oh, bang. Get out of here, bitch. I guess we have to go this way.
Something rather large broke through here.
Stay alert.
Yeah, let's just calm down. Oh, that's just our way of climbing across.
More poetry.
Hehe.
Delightful.
They say poems. 11 of 14. Let's go. I'll go actually. Anything else around here? That's fine. Going. Oh, that's a big print.
Big footprint.
Yeah.
Smartest man alive.
Well, you try making conversation with you sometime.
He's got a point.
Whoever's making these footprints, it knocked over those trees like they were twigs. Be careful.
I am always careful.
Oh, bloody hell, you're serious.
Oh, bloody hell, you're serious. Oh, it's like a whole new area. Oh. Oh, shit. Okay. Okay. Oh.
Olga! We can't get through with that bastard trying to bludgeon us!
Then we must get closer.
Watch out!
Alright. Come on then, fuckface.
Bloody thing can't be harmed! Something must be casting a spell on it!
Well, how do we get across then? I don't really want to fight it, but we just leave it for now. Welcome back, Jax. Chapter 7. Gotcha. Yeah, let's go back to the Western Plains.
So I got the sense Vanaheim wasn't supposed to be so humid. Was that the effect of Fimbulwinter there?
To a great extent, it seems.
So Midgard had endless night and cold. Svartalfheim had earthquakes. Alfheim had the light randomly pulsing. But Asgard didn't seem to be having any effects at all.
Odin had a long time to prepare.
No change I noticed in Helheim or Muspelheim either, now that I think of it. The more primordial realms might be less susceptible.
How do you suppose Jotunheim is faring?
How would I know?
Just training your powers of speculation.
I don't know. If nobody's there to see, does it even matter?
Oh, but he's already been there. Thing. He's already... I want to know if I can... Oh yeah, I can open this gate, can't I? Because the thing's receded. Yep.
I wish this one were like the dragons in Midgard. They were nice.
They were also intelligent dwarves who had been transformed into dragons.
Still.
No, dragon's a dragon. Mako Reactor 5. Mako Reactor 5. That is the second reactor. Yeah, Trap 7. Yeah, that. What? Who? Valley the Oath God. Oh, hello. You a big fellow. Oh, you... Really one of those bitches that fucking delays their attacks like it's a Dark Souls game. Come on. At least I haven't got a shield. That's fucking something nice. Alright. I did. I totally did. You can't tell me otherwise. Do it again. Fuck out of here, dude. Oh, no thanks. Fucking hell. Time to die.
Seems that travelers were told that by exploring the 9 realms and beyond, they'd find a way into paradise.
Told by whom?
Someone calling themselves the Blind
Ooh.
Guest.
The Hilt of Throtty. Applies a mark to nearby enemies. Attacking a marked enemy reduces runic cooldowns of equipped weapon. Kill the marked enemy grants a blessing of runic. That could be quite good though. Hilt of Hofjord.
Sounds like the bastard, doesn't it?
This is a dead end. Awesome. Away.
Another one of those mysterious crystals.
Wait, I can...
Bet we can get into that Revenant camp now.
Yeah. I bet we could. What's down here? It's where we came. It's like, is this like a no? Where we came in? No. Oh no, this is where Brody is. Oh, we're gonna fight the dragon now. Okay, now we're fighting the dragon now. Okay, cool. The Crimson Dread. Oh, that's a nice name, isn't it? That's unfortunate. I'm fighting Ignitus from Spyro.
You're on fire, but you probably already know that. Watch out!
I'm about to die. Ooh. I get weak points with the dragon to knock it. Oh, like that, you mean? I have a bitch. Oh, okay. Bye-bye. Ow. Okay. Well, I'm dead. I mean, I didn't have full health going into that fight, and now I know the attack pattern a little bit better, so there's that. This is like the main side mission here. Okay. Alright, try again. We've got the axe now as well. So. No bitch. Fuck you. Get out of here, bitch. Oh, you slowed. Never get that timing down, can I? Health, health, health. Whoa. Thank you. I probably could have done it because now that I'm finding health little things. And start the fire. Hiya! Freeze you to dust, motherfucker. Oh, oh, get fucked. Nice, here we go. Oh, that's one way to kill a dragon. Eesh.
Now we just gotta find Birger.
Rescue Birger. Well, that's the other, I think that's the last Lindworm. Vanaheim's Fortitude. Go there. Plus 20. Ooh. Yep, this is the last Lindworm. Ooh, Dragonclaw. I'm guessing there's 3 dragons we have to fight? Or we can fight?
I believe that's the last of them.
And that's the last of them. Spectacular work, I guess. Not that I care. You mean nothing to me. Nothing at all.
That's great, friend.
You're not my friend. Goodbye. I love you.
Goodbye, I love you.
Gracious.
Good gracious. I could go back actually and go back to the Mystic Gate and get that upgrade actually. Because now the Dropnir spear, the spear has been upgraded. It can be upgraded level 6 now, which is very nice. Very nice indeed. And then we've just got one.
I saw Durlin again too. After we forced the spear onto the beard, he had
One
Durlin
more
with him,
Drogohol.
threatening him, as if he knew I would know him.
But if Odin knew all along, then while we were pretending not to know each other, he was pretending not to see through us. Man, he really is a good liar.
Okay, so now let's go into that camp. Will we go past the? I think we'll go past. I think we're gonna go past the. Let's go and actually no. Let's do this really quick. Actually, no, there is 2 because the one that's I've got flashing down here. That's a Droga hole. Need to try and go back there at some point. At least we can go through here now. Wait, did I not go here? I thought I grabbed this. I guess not. Yeah, because that was where the lady was with the scroll, right?
Wouldn't you prefer to face forward rather than backward?
We already tried.
There were issues with Viscera.
Oh.
Later, brother. Hostilities demand our focus.
Punch. Headbutt. Plonk. Nice. And you, sir, are dead.
Sure are a lot of Sather out here. Wonder if Freya knows why.
Hey, with the chest. No, on the chest or not. Ah, so that's what it was. The Revenant camp was
What's it say, brother?
the Nornir chest. Hey, Moister. Good to see you, buddy. How you doing? Hope you're well. Hope you're well. That's another apple. 2 out of 5.
Mimir, did you know Garm? Why was he locked up to begin with?
Ah, Hell's feral sentinel. Well, believe it or not, Midgard was once bigger. Until Garm, then just a wee pup, got peckish.
He ate Midgard?
Only a few mountain ranges.
Jesus
And
Christ.
the 5th season that comes after winter but before spring. And the word for the feeling when you get so hungry, you stop being hungry.
You're messing with me.
I would never.
I wouldn't. I changed my name color, and it won't let me go back. Oh, you're green now. I did notice the green. That's all good. That's all good.
I can sharpen that axe if you want.
Wait.
Live in
Can you?
Whetstone. That's me. Let's make something then.
Oh.
Far be it for me
Rapnir
to
Spear is level
improve on the
6.
lady's work, but
His name's level 7. Oh.
now that
Ooh.
is an axe.
Okay, fine. The Blades of Chaos is the only one that's really lagging behind now in terms of weapons. Hunter's Pauldron. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Hunter's Gauntlets. Increases the range damage of all ranged attacks. That's just like whatever, I guess, at this point. Thousand.
Need something special?
We're good. Right. So the next thing, I could go here because that's where. Wait, that's where one of the That's where one of the Droga holes is. Actually, there's 2, isn't there? There's 2 here. There's one then, and there's one in the other one. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Why did I do that? I should have made it nighttime. That's fine. I'll do this and then just fast travel to the other. Oh, I can just run. Would it be quicker to walk or fast travel? It's probably going to be quicker to fast travel with the Mystic Gateway. I appreciate you stopping by, Moister. Oh, God. God, I need 2 hours already. Jesus.
Mimir,
I'm gone.
you said souls come in 4 parts. Does that mean you can lose some of your soul, but not all of it?
Aye. Form, mind, direction, and luck. Lose any one of them and the entire being suffers. Still, sometimes luck alone is enough. just ask your father.
My success does not come from luck.
Ah, the refrain of the eternally lucky.
Okay. So... Oh yeah, we got to change it to nighttime because that whirlwind is probably going to do something if it's nighttime. Actually, would it? Ooh. Okay, hold on. I know where the 3 letters are, at least. I'm saying there's probably a quicker way than what I'm doing, but it's fine. But do you mind? I'm trying to, like, get a Narnia chest open, if you would be so kind. Oh my god, dude, another one? I'm not even looking at that other thing.
You're on fire, but you probably already know that.
Oh, hi. I fought you before. Punch. Stab. Ooh, nice. And it's dead. It is officially dead. And that is another Narnia chest done. Horn. The 2 of each. I do seem to get, like, I alternate between, I think only once or twice is where I've got like the same one back to back.
What's this plate doing here?
Must have been built recently.
Ooh.
Alka!
That's probably important for something later on. Oh, now how do we get to that? Oh, never mind. Like that now, I suppose.
You all right, brother?
I'm fine. Getting asked and taking names, so don't worry about it. Okay, so yeah, let's change it to nighttime, and then we will attempt this Droger hole, and then all we got then is the one, that one that I missed. So if I hadn't missed the one earlier in Alfheim, I would have. This would be the last one, but I missed it because I'm stupid. Oh. Oh. It's purple to oh, okay. Okay.
That spring. There's something inside it. Something angry. And trapped. Alka!
Oh.
Wait, what's that wisp doing to the gazelle?
We will stop it.
How?
Doesn't look like we can kill it. Maybe we can burn it instead. What about it? You scared it off. It's going back home to its spring. What's that? You're welcome. He was nice.
Nocturnal
Anyway,
predator.
let's look around. See if any other wisps have gotten loose.
Saw the remaining sigils. Wisp captured 1 of 3. Ah.
The runes lit up on the plate. That's because that wisp is back in its spring.
Okay. We gotta find little one. Like,
Look, another wisp. Feeding on that ibex.
there you go, bud.
Do you need any healing? Okay, if you're sure. So the plate keeps the wisps locked in their spring. Look, another wisp, eating that wildebeest.
Not anymore. Return to the sigil plate. Oh boy, I wonder what's gonna happen now.
Oh, it was scared and in pain.
Not anymore.
Aye. Better that it had some relief in its final moments.
That's all the wisps contained. Should we check out that weird plate again?
Boss fight.
The runes are all lit. The wisps are back in their springs, and the plate's keeping them imprisoned. We did it.
About that.
They must be combined. We gotta take it down, Father.
Ah, no shit, Sherlock.
Attack!
More sweet! Hurry! Take yourself out. Don't waste it.
Oh, nice. Let's go.
We gotta take out these springs.
Oh, right. Okay. Ah, fuck! It came back. God damn it.
Nicely done.
We did it.
Go, 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 go.
Springs, brother. Destroy them.
One. That's the most painful one. That's gone. That's fine. That's the most painful one taken care of. There's one up here too. Oh, fucking hell.
More sweet! Hurry!
I'm...
Nicely done! Keep on it!
Go, 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 go. Two.
We gotta take out these springs.
I know, I'm aware, Atreus. I'm aware. Got 3 left. Oh, now it's mad. Now it's uber mad. Whoa, okay.
We stunned it.
Nicely done! Keep on it!
Go, 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 go. Nice. Oh, I could just have Atreus to shoot them. Okay, oh, there's the one that's left is literally right here. That's fine.
We stunned it.
Give yourself an opening! Don't waste it!
Capture Chase.
Attack! Whoosh. Nice. Come here, little bitch. Nice. Ooh.
Well, that's the wisp taken care of. But I don't understand how they escaped and formed that thing.
Chains only hold for so long. Eventually, those who wear them.
Oh, we have Gale Flame. Oh, let's go.
or another.
You can say that again, brother.
Nice. We got another upgrade for the Dropness Spear. Okay. I thought I could use the boat. Maybe it's the daytime I use the boat. Unless I gotta wait for the. Maybe there's I gotta do quests first. I might leave it nighttime, to be honest. For the minute, just because.
One raven down.
Just for the sake of it, you know. It's just because, you know, just in case.
You got just what I need to upgrade that spear of ours.
Ah, another crystal. Best hold on to it until we can figure out what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so this will be level 7 now.
Hope I did the lady proud.
I can get to level 9. Okay. I mean, the actual skills is
Got more lip
what,
flapping to
like
do?
7? Wait, look! Oh, yeah, look how much I've unlocked now. I've unlocked every. Okay, so I can just start pumping things into this now. Force, Final Axe Breaker, Rising Wind. Oh, handbrake, apologies. $3,000 least now. That's good though. Like literally, that's very nice in terms of like the spear's now much more. We've unlocked a lot of shit for it, so that's very nice. Like, so whilst we, you know what, whilst we're in the middle of ads, I'll head to the other side, and we'll do this for Vanaheim. Side quest. We'll just try and go. We'll go back there again. Well, that was quick. Nice. This is pretty cool. You get to poke fun at people. Exactly. The spear's now level 7. So, but yeah, if I can get the blaze, if I can just get the last stuff for the Blades of Chaos upgrade, that would be amazing. Then the Blades of Chaos would be fully upgraded. I wouldn't have to worry about it, but about, you know, upgrades or whatnot. Maybe way to get over there somehow. Oh, wasn't it through here? But I was in daytime, wasn't I? What about... Oh yeah, I didn't. Cause I went towards I went over here. And I ended up in the jungle, didn't I? Yeah, because that's what the dam is. I got loads more spears I can detonate now. Oh. Yeah, because I went instead of going this way, I went that way. So welcome back to the end, everybody. Oh my god, let's go. Yeah, don't worry, you didn't miss much. Just me running around mainly. So. How do I get up top then? Maybe I can't from my... Maybe there's another path? Oh, yeah, here. Hang on. Oh, wait. Oh. How do I get around here then? There's got to be a way to get to... You know, where that door was. Like, there's got to be a way to get around there. Right? Oh, we'll leave it for now. We've done a little bit of side stuff anyway, so let's head back towards. Because I went to go there thinking that was the Lindworm, but I think apparently it's...
It's good. I always knew Sindri was a great blacksmith, but this magical shield, it just feels...
That's not a Lindworm, because I've got all the Lindworms.
Well made, but it is you who wields it with skill.
Thanks.
So if I remember correctly, we gotta go... Pardon me, that was a big burp. Yeah, can we go through here? And then down. Fuck. Right, it's fine. Then we go here instead. This is where we fought the dragon. You pre-ordered that Dead Rising remake last night. It's going to be awesome. Oh yeah, they're remaking Dead Rising 1, aren't they? Yeah, I did see. Should be good. I think the only Dead Rising game I've played is Dead Rising 2. I played a little bit of it. I didn't finish it, but I did a good chunk of it, I think. Here comes out September. Nice, nice. Alright, let's go find this guy. That's a name I should remember, but I don't.
Over here.
Hey, he's alive, thank God.
Many thanks.
Burger.
No, thank you. You saved us back on the boat. Right, Father?
It was foolish. And appreciated.
There's a mystic gateway nearby.
It was okay, but not even close to 1 and 2.
We do.
Yeah, I've heard 3 is nowhere near. Like 3 was like, I think, if I remember correctly, then was it 3 or was it 4 that was like an Xbox One exclusive?
Talk later.
I think it came out like on the launch of the Xbox One, if I'm not mistaken. And that one wasn't. And 4 just didn't know. If 3 was exclusive when it first came out, yeah, I think that's the one I'm because it's got like a biker outfit guy on the cover. Is that 3 or is that 4?
Yet another mystery crystal.
Oh, shortcut. Nice. Mechanic outfit? It's just sleeveless. Yeah, that's it. Mechanic outfit, yeah. That's the one. No, yeah, because like on the cover art, it was like a guy. Like, it looks like he was on like a motorcycle. Like a biker gang outfit on. Like the cover art of the actual game.
Big man, boss needs your help coaxing this stag back to the world tree. The boss needs your help, mind you. Not me. I'm doing great. Got a belly full of stag feed, living life, but yeah, talk to him back at the round between rounds when you got a moment.
Stag for all seasons. So can I do that at this moment in time? Not getting confused. No, I'm pretty sure it was a Dead Rising game. Pretty sure it was a Dead Rising game. Yeah, I'm sure it was like a day one Xbox One release. Oh yeah, it was Dead Rising 3. That's the one with the cover. That's got the guy. It's like a sleeveless vest guy with a, and it looks like a biker gang jacket that's been ripped. Yeah, it was Dead Rising 3 is what I'm thinking of. I didn't even realize there was a 4. Oh shit. Dead Rising 4, huh? Okay, so do I? Now then, so I can't really get there at the moment. I don't think, for whatever reason. I don't think. Can I talk to this stag? Because if I go to if I change it to daytime and go to that little whirlwind, like nothing happens.
For this. Maybe I'll see you back at the camp.
And under different circumstances, one hopes.
Red Rising 1 was my favourite Sun game. I'm so glad they did that. Eve for Vanaheim has been completed.
Well, with Birger safe, we can get out of here. Or explore some more, if you wanna.
Is it in the Crucible? Thing now, do I go into the jungle? Do I? When can I get that last one done? Overgrown tower. And head south through the tunnel. Oh, I gotta go on boat? Oh. That means I gotta restore the water somehow. Yes. Let's at least try... Well, let's at least try and get this one up here. Rond of the Nine Realms. Ooh. Oh! Wow. I lose vitality. Low luck chance to trigger a realm shift. Okay. I was about a VR the other night. Not sure if I mentioned that in the stream. Oh, no, you didn't. No. That's cool. What VR did you get? Is it just a PlayStation one, or is it something different? Like an Oculus or, what do they call it? Meta or Meta Quest or... I want to go here. Quest 2, it was super cheap because the 3 just came out. Ah, nice. Good shout. Good shout. Gotta get those deals, right?
So, Mimir, how did they capture arm in the first place?
That was Tyr's doing. He lured
£115?
somewhere
That's
safe
fuck, that's
and
cheap. That is cheap.
distracted
Fair.
by lending his own arm to be gently chewed. Once the chains were on and the gate to Helheim was opened, Garm bit Tyr's arm clean off in retribution.
But Tyr's not missing an arm.
Well, it grew back, eventually. He is a very resourceful god, after all.
A very resourceful god indeed. Have I gone the wrong way? Oh yeah, I'm going... Wait. Can I even go back that way? I don't think I can I? Unless I enter from a different angle? Maybe? Hold on. Maybe I gotta go actually... Maybe I'll physically go into the camp. And then exit from a different... exit in that way. Hold on.
Mimir, can we get back to what you were saying about Magni and Modi's childhood? Or beat them up a lot?
Aye. He was always a cauldron of drunken rage. And
Actually, because it was a display model. I thought, yeah, I might as well because I'm releasing the head strap and everything for it anyway. Oh, that's fair. Yeah. Well, that's funny. Yeah, I mean that's pretty spot on, to be fair. You can't go wrong with that. And because I've also... I forgot to mention, actually, yes, I forgot to mention... Actually, no, I didn't mention it.
Thank you.
I bought it last night. It's coming tomorrow. But I got a new webcam coming. Stream. Because the one I've got at the minute... I've had, what, 3 years now? So I thought I'd maybe have a little tinkle at something else. Maybe get a bit of an upgrade. Maybe, potentially. And I got the Elgato face cam. It's the Mark II version, so it's like the newer version. And that was also on like, it was like Amazon deals, so I got it like new condition for like 50 quid less than the normal standard price, which is like bargain. So I was like, yeah, I'll take that, thank you. You know, like this one's done great. Like I know, don't get me wrong, this one's done amazing. Yeah, I figured because I got like the Stream Deck and stuff like that. Kind of keep feeding into that Elgato branding, you know. I should get a new webcam myself. When I'm in the dark, it's pixels everywhere. Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, I say it. I think mine holds up okay in low light and whatnot, but it's just it's been a while since I've had an upgrade of some sorts. That's probably the last thing. The longest thing I've had, piece of like stream equipment I've had, apart from probably the capture card, maybe. I think I bought the camera and the capture card around the same time. I think so. If I'm not mistaken. I think no, because yeah, I bought that. So the camera I've got now, the Razer Keo Pro. I bought that 3 years ago from Amazon, shockingly, and it was on sale. And then yeah, and then I think it was like October time. I think I bought the new capture card because I remember playing Resident Evil 1. I remember playing Resident Evil 1 and getting the new capture card, playing it, testing it out. Because mine has a feature for auto lighting when it's dark, and it makes it look horrible. Oh, really? You can't turn it off? Oh, what webcam have you got? If you don't mind me asking. Let's try and head back towards. But I'm hoping because it's dark, all the fences have like receded, so I can like get through without issue. He says. Oh, it's just some trash cheap when I bought years back. You don't. So like, what's like the? I just was just curious what the brand of it was. That's all. If it's one I've heard of or not. This way, maybe. No, this takes you to the thing, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the Nornid chest. Nulia? Oh yeah, I've definitely not heard of that. Definitely some mass-produced junk. Gotcha. Hopefully didn't pay too much for it. I hope. Value. You have to value. No, just yeah, just side questing. I can do, yeah.
Not sure how to ask this.
Probably like
Here's
half
stories
hour.
Odin told me, like how he lost his eye, where the details are different from stories you've told me. And I trust you, of course, but it doesn't seem like things you'd have a reason to lie about either.
One thing to remember about liars, lad. They lie. They do it on principle. No issue too big or too small. They lie about anything they can get away with and some things that they can't, just to demonstrate their power over reality. You must always bear that in mind.
I don't stream or anything, so I saw no need again for a proper one. You only got to talk to a friend. That's fair. That's mean, like if you're only doing it to talk to a friend and stuff, then that's fine. You don't need a big one. You don't need a proper fan. I mean, to be fair, the one I've got, like the ones that you can get for streaming, like you can get like 4K ones, and they're like 400 quid, like something daft. Like I would never pay that much for a camera, like ever. Like DSLR, and all those mirrorless ones. I'm like, nah. Like the camera I'm getting that's coming tomorrow is probably I'll probably be my camera unless it breaks. Like that's only like going forward. Like I won't like actively look for another like a 4K one because I mean what's the point? Am I going the right way? No, I'm not. Shit. Can I even go back that way? That's gonna be a no, I don't think. Can I even go to it now? That is fucking dreadful if that's the case. Okay, well, we'll just have to follow this path for a minute. I think it said it's on a bridge, so sucks I can't even fucking go back there. There must be another way though to get to it, surely. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on. Maybe there is. I think this takes you to the area. Fucking open it does. Yeah. But then when I was chasing that enemy, I couldn't go this way because the game was the Mimir was like, "Oh no, you can't go this way. You gotta chase that Anya hard dude." And I'm like, "All right." Apparently, there's a bridge here. That gate is blocked off. Let's go. Ah, okay, let me... No. One, there it is. Oh. Pause. Alright, Trace, I thought you were an enemy. Whereas you teleport. Okay, so that's that. Okay. Oh, there's a chest up there. Did I really miss all this? I did, didn't I? I didn't want Freya anyway, it's fine. So let's get the Leviathan blade out.
I see it.
Axe even. Yeah, so this one's probably going to be, I don't want to say easy, but like,
Do not worry about me.
don't you worry about me.
That's what she was called. I'm trying to remember which god raised her dander up.
It does not matter.
Doesn't it?
If rage is all that remains, her reasons are irrelevant.
Oh, there you go. So that's 5 Droger holes done. Chaos Spark, nice. And we get another... Ooh. Get a nice shiny reward. Hopefully it's like a weapon ability of some sort. Ooh, Rond of Restoration. Ooh. On taking damage, Kratos has a luck chance to gain defense for his next shield strike. Double tap L1 to hit to restore health. The chances increases with lower health.
Find the Noken! You're making these things stronger!
Where is the Noken? Oh, there it is. 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 Bitch. Over 1. You little shit. Yeah, I'm like 2 ranks higher than it. I'm just gonna murder it in plain sight. You know what I mean? Okay. So that's that done. Nice. Yeah, we just got that. We just got that Droger hole left to go. Which I don't think... I'm trying to think. I don't think we can do right now, so I'm gonna have to leave it until we've done the jungle section, maybe. And I've got to head back to Freya's camp. There's no fast travel point here, which is annoying as fuck. I could though take. I'm shocked I didn't take that Droger hole before. I'm shocked. Oh, was that a shortcut this whole time? It fucking was too.
Mimir, when I was in Asgard, I saw Odin do something to some new Einherjar. They seemed kind of mindless until he cast a spell that restored their identity.
Aye, that was his habit, even when they were confined to Valhalla. I think letting them remember themselves was another small way of cheating death any way he could. Though, wouldn't be surprised if with that small gift of autonomy, he also embeds an...
I gotta try and make my way to Freya's camp now, and I wish I could just like fast travel for where I am, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I guess I just can't. Actually, no, it feels like it's crying out for a Mystic Gateway here, but just want to, I just want the last Blades of Chaos upgrade now at this point. I mean, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I want to go. This is the back of the way I came.
Brother,
Wait, no.
you don't like
What's
riddles, eh?
No.
Oh, you just haven't heard any good ones. Here, I'm tall when I'm young, short when I'm old. What
A candle.
Yeah. Heard that one before?
No.
Oh.
Well,
Did you like it?
like it? No.
No.
No. Stupid. Okay, so I guess because this is the way we came, wasn't it? Yeah. Must be this way, right? Ah, yeah. So then we go down here. Then we go this way. Right, everything. I'm trying to remember everything. Is like the way the path is like a bit of a maze. Can't lie. Yeah, because I can't go through there for some reason. Fair enough. And then... Oh. Oh, Dwarven Steel. Yeah, and then we go through here. And then we'll be back at the camp then.
Brother, somewhere out there's a riddle you'd enjoy, and I'm going to find it.
Do not.
Do
Once
not.
spoken, instantly broken. What am I?
Silence.
Correct!
I was not answering the riddle.
Silence. Well, that's cool. You can have these different. You can use different weapons to glide. I think I've only seen the spear now and the axe. I haven't seen the blade. I don't think you can use the blades at this point to probably zip line. I'd imagine it's only the axe or the spear because it's long enough. But of being able to use it as a bit of leverage to hold on to. Yeah, so all that time, you know, I could have just gone like the other way or whatever, you know. Fucking stupid. Back in the camp. I think, can we do any? No, because we're still missing a Droga hole, so we can't exactly. I think at this point we may as well just go back to Sindri's house and just like turn everything in and grab new quests. At this point.
What you need now? What about your boy? Ready when you are.
Need one more petrified bone.
Now, what else was there?
We go this way, right? Out of the camp. Jump, swing, jump. On the boat, get on the boat, jump, swing, get on the boat. Right, let's go left.
Meeting the Lady of the Forge really brought back some memories. I thought it was only in my homeland you'd see such things.
Mermaids who forge weapons.
Aye. I remember very fondly a lieutenant called Nimue. Very talented with a sword.
Mimir.
I meant that literally. Shame on you. She made the best swords in all the Isles and had big dreams about what she'd do with them one day.
No more for now. Focus.
You like the swords, did she? Yeah, Sindri's house.
I wanted to tell you. I read something in Odin's library about what Gjallarhorn is supposed to do. If blown by a god, it sounds through all the realms and harmonizes the space between them. Blow it somewhere like Tyr's temple, and it would be like opening up all the realm travel towers at once.
It's quite a vulnerability. Wonder why he didn't just destroy it.
Some artifacts defy destruction.
Well, we should make Freya aware of this.
Probably doesn't know. Right, don't bring fucking ox.
You're here. Something rather important to discuss.
There you go.
They look quite healthy. All of the little ones are now safely settled in their new home.
Nice.
You have my gratitude.
Thorough job. My respect.
Thorough job,
Sought
I
the
respect.
dragon's offspring. Why?
To alleviate my heart-rending loneliness, of course.
Oh, that was awfully forthcoming of you.
I normally wouldn't be so candid, but it appears that Anxious Squirrel has learned a thing or two from you about, what was it? Not caring about how others perceive you? So I will permit you this one bit of my weakness.
To require others is not a weakness.
My goodness, I had not expected such emotional intelligence from one of your girth.
I do not care.
I do not care.
Well, this was a delightful conversation.
So, this whole spectral squirrel business. You can
Speak.
shoot it.
The tree has become rather overgrown.
And
And if it grows too wildly, the branches risk getting too heavy and falling, which is not ideal considering they hold all the realms.
I am no gardener.
What an absolute shock. No, I do not require any
I am not a
horticultural
gardener.
skills from you, but I would ask that you keep an eye open for the stags of the 4 seasons. They normally graze upon the tree and keep it tidy. Unfortunately, Bitter decided it would be funny to trick Arrogant into releasing them. If you happen to find the stags during your travels, I would greatly appreciate assistance in bringing them home. I would have one of my spectral squirrels do it, but they, well, keep eating the feed I give them. Consequence of it being the most delicious food in all the 9 realms, I suppose.
We have seen these stags.
Great. Then all you need is some
We've seen one.
Once you've found a stag,
In
the
one.
feed should calm them down.
Which was within the area
One of
which
my
we're just
spectral
in.
will guide them back here. And, don't eat the feed, please.
I will not.
Vision has asked me if I was too chicken to release them, but I am in fact not chicken-like whatsoever. So as you can see, I have no choice.
Yes, of course. What else could you have done?
Okay.
Was there something else you wish to talk about?
Okay, so skills. I could probably. Oh, can I? How much can I tidy up of the? Dropness Call. Yep. Siphoning an element also provides a buff of resistance to that element. Ooh. Me holding R1 to impale a third sphere in quick succession. A rising wind forms a whirlwind to hit and disrupt nearby enemies. And then we'll go healing thrust. We'll do the most expensive one. Fuck it. Actually, I could probably start like leveling up Atreus's stuff. Falling Sky. Sharpshooter Stare. Yeah, one of that. Runic Summon. Wrath of the Wolf. Rampaging Ibex. Falcon's Dive. Nice. Get that fully maxed out. Okay. All right.
Hey, tell her she's the best. Oh, you're back. The heroes of the hour. I want to hear everything. I mean, when you're ready, I'm not giving orders here, am I?
Try to rest, Envy. Let the herbs work.
Oh, they work? Oh, they work very well. Because you make things better. You always have. Since we were kids. I find a new way to get into trouble. And you find a way to make it better.
Well, that's certainly true.
You know we used to lead Vanaheim? Together? When we were young? Not much older than you, to be honest. Well, she did the leading. I just tried to keep things fun. Leadership, not really my strong suit, let's be honest.
Really? Your group back in Vanaheim seems pretty devoted.
Well, I can inspire people.
He seems like a bit of a bard to me, like a storyteller.
Invest in themselves, you know. I don't know if that's leadership. Is it more like
Like a muse?
Wait. Like a what?
A muse. Father told me about them. In his homeland, they inspired all kinds of artists.
What? I love that.
That's a job?
That's a job? Why don't we have that? Oh, man. I could totally do that.
I think they were all goddesses, though.
Well, come on. That's not fair. That's not fair. I would be a natural. What were we talking about?
Ingvi, you must rest. You understand? You must. Please, just stop talking.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But someone was gonna fill us in on what happened with Heimdall,
Oh.
right? Is that what's happening?
Patience.
We're not doing that.
Hey, you think Sindri's got any more snacks?
Enough.
Yeah, a little bit.
Look at that. You really did it.
Mm-hmm.
How, in all the 9 realms, did you manage to kill Heimdall?
I knew our spear would do the trick. Well, happy Ragnarok, everybody. Let's drink.
Is it true? Heimdall's dead. I can't believe it. There's no stopping it now. Odin swore peace only so long as you spilled no more Aesir blood.
I refuse that deal.
Yet he honored it. But now...
But what? You and I know better than anyone that Odin's promises never last. We have the advantage now. It's time to bring him down.
No.
None of you understand what's coming. Odin's vengeance will be his only concern.
Not his only concern. The mask. Whatever knowledge it unlocks, that's what Odin wants more than anything. If I go back to Asgard, I can
back. Go back.
Look. If I can finish what I started there, awaken the mask, get answers. Maybe that's our way out of this. But I gotta go soon. Before they figure out what's happened.
Atreus, you are home. Do not ask me to put you at risk again.
He's at risk where he stands, Kratos. We all are.
Anything we do or don't do is dangerous right now. But Odin needs me. He trusts me. I'll be safe there. From a tactical perspective, am I wrong?
I don't much like it, but it is our best play. Dividing Odin's focus would buy us time.
And give us a pair of eyes in the enemy's inner sanctum.
But if there is truly a source of infinite knowledge, you can't let Odin have it.
Aye. And once he has what he needs from you...
Then I lose my leverage. I get it. I'll be smart. Father, I can do this.
Remember our promise.
You too.
Ooh, okay.
I hope you know what you're doing.
I do too, Sim.
Going back to Asgard.
I still want to hear how you did it. You mean how we did it? Ah, you heard me. And therein lies a tale.
We're going back to Asgard to see Odin. Unlocking the mask. And it makes sense that so now it makes sense that
Atreus, listen. I can't let you go back without this.
A hammer?
Your key, please.
now that he's fixed all the stuff with Garm and whatnot.
You ever need a way out of a bad situation? Throw this down hard and say Wergi. One use only.
Wergi. Thanks, Sindri. Hope I don't need it.
Me too.
Asgard we go.
All right. Odin said Hugin would be waiting in the cabin. Mimir, anything else I should know about Odin? Maybe a weakness or something? Like if I flip up his eye patch, he'll disintegrate. Aye, lad. Wouldn't that be? Yeah, no. Sorry, Mimir. I can't do your accent. I'm on my own for this one.
That's funny.
Here we go.
Mm. Whoa.
Ben? You made it back!
Oh, that's Fenrir.
Hey.
Is this your wool?
Ah! Stop doing that.
Oh, were you having a moment? It sort of looked like you were having a moment. I can go.
No. Sorry.
Oh, why is he so cute?
It's okay, Ben. She's,
Someone was right about your knife.
Huh?
I'm glad you found a place for his soul.
Me too. Hey, how'd you find me here? Loki? This is my marble.
And where are you heading off to?
Back to Asgard. Hey, I'm actually using him.
Uh-huh.
Angerboda, look. Once I see this through, I'm gonna know everything. How to save my father, how to stop Ragnarok, and maybe, hopefully, how to bring our people back.
Loki, those are all very noble intentions. But he's Odin.
You have faith in me, right?
Yeah, but they don't realize the.
Of course I do.
But I don't think Loki even understands the gravity of the situation.
For yourself is the one that you truly want.
Would you take care of Finn while I'm away?
I'll take good care of him.
Oh. Oh.
Be careful, Loki.
And there's Hugin.
Okay. I just gotta help Odin complete the mask, but also make sure he doesn't get any answers from it. Easy, right? He's probably in his study.
Hey, do you know what? I think this would be a good place to call it. What, 20 past 10? Yeah. Unlocking the mask. Odin said Hugin would be waiting for me in Midgard when I was ready to return to Asgard. Yeah, we're in Asgard. Here again. Yeah. I think that's where we left it before, I think. So, I think we'll call it there. Oh, okay. Where are we gonna go? On me. And again. Alright, I think we're gonna raid Jetpack Raptor. Good buddy of mine. He's currently playing some. He's playing a game I've not heard of. 8 Doors, a Korean folklore Metroidvania. Ooh. Okay. So yeah, I've done some charity stuff with him before. So, and he's a lovely person. Legally blind. Oh yeah, it looks like a Hollow Knight sort of style game. Nice. Yeah, we're gonna go say hi to Jeff. Okay. Swell dude, I've known him since I've been on Twitch really, so a good friend. And as always, I appreciate everyone popping in and saying hi. And I will hopefully see you all next time for more God of War Ragnarok, where we will continue our journey through with Atreus and unlocking the mask and potential. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, that's worked. Awesome. Cool. But yeah, take care, Moister. Alright, good, lovely to see you again. And I'll see you all next time. Let's go say hi. That's like I said, and take care of yourselves. Stay safe, and I will see you when I see you next. But yeah, no, it's definitely feeling like the end game is coming soon. With with like Trace grabbing the mask now, well, trying to get the mask fully done and whatnot. So we shall see. We shall see. But until next time, take care, stay safe, and hope. Well, if we stream tomorrow, well, the next stream will be with a new webcam. So stay tuned. Bye for now.